Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tabitha Gabrielle. Oh, my finger looks weird like that. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tabitha Gabrielle, and today we're going to be doing the final recent reads of 2025, which feels wild to me. I have 7 books that I'm going to be telling you guys about today. All of these books are books that I read from October until December. I guess without further ado, let's get started. We're going to be starting out this video with 2 very negative, probably controversial opinions, okay? Like, oopsies. Sorry about it, not sorry about it. Last video I was saying I loved Caraval. Like, I rated that book 5 stars. I loved it. However, the second book, Legendary, let's talk about it. I did not enjoy it as much as I loved Caraval. And I think the reason why is because it was from Donatella's point of view. And Donatella is one of the most frustrating characters that I think I've ever read in a book before. She's so drama prone, and she was the reason why this rating went downhill so fast for me. I don't say this frequently, especially about female characters in books, because I really try to empathize with them and I really try to understand them. But Donatella, just everything that she did, I was like,
you are dumb.
There was no character development either. It would have been one thing if she had been like that and then had character development throughout the series, but no. I don't see any character development in this character. I just am a Donatella hater. I'm a member of the Donatella hate club, and nobody's going to convince me otherwise. And guess what? The character that was introduced in this series that I'm supposed to love in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, Jax, because of his association with Donatella,
I don't like him.
So guess what? I feel like it also ruined my potential experience with Once Upon a Broken Heart. And I have friends that are like, oh, you have to read Once Upon a Broken Heart. You'll love it. Jax is such a great character. We love him so much. Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't judge. To each his own. I guess every garbage can has its lid, but
But yeah, I ended up rating this book 2 stars, which is very low for me, okay? Like, 2 stars is almost unheard of for me. And I really tried. I was like, well, let's focus on the world. Let's focus on the plot. No. Like, the plot felt like a fever dream. Like, what was going on in the plot? And, like, the magical cards that show up from the mom, I'm like, right. Basically, this book is the continuation of the first book, which I think the first book would have been perfectly fine as a standalone, if I'm being honest. But no, she had to like drag it out with this book and make another story and make Scarlet into a more unlikable character. I kind of liked Scarlet in Caraval. I don't even like Scarlet in this book. She took all the qualities and all the elements that I liked about the first book and ruined them all. She just put them all in this giant washing machine full of bleach, and now they're all messed up. There was a moment in Legendary where I thought maybe Donatella was going to come around and have some character development, where she fights this character called the Undead Queen and the Undead Queen's handmaidens. Look, if it sounds like a fever dream, it's because it is. But yeah, but no, she still had to be rescued by Jax. But then also, she was just so annoying. She was, I can do it myself. But also she was like master manipulator. And she would like be like, I can do it myself. With like the expectation that someone was going to come rescue her. And when they didn't, she was like, why is nobody rescuing me? Be so for real, girl. Like, get over it. Those are my honest thoughts. Let's move on to finale, because it was not the grand finale that I was expecting. No, it was not. Finale is the second book that I'm going to be talking about today, which was also rated 2 stars in my book, because guess what? Again, we have more continuation of Donatella's POV. We have some of Scarlet mixed in now, but also, guess what? Now I don't like Scarlet because of the second book, and now she's a dislikable character too. So it was basically me just like, I've got to finish this series. I want to read Once Upon a Broken Heart. I'm going to get through it. That was the attitude I went into it with, and my attitude did not change throughout. Also, the air conditioner just went on. And there's gunshots. Oh my god, and there's a bug biting my foot. What on earth? All that happened just all at once. What kind of bug was that? See, this is a sign. My foot is stinging now. I don't know what kind of bug that was. It was kind of alarming though. I think it was just a sweat bee. Why are there sweat bees out in December? No one knows. I turned off the air conditioning and I'm dealing with my throbbing foot right now. As I was saying about finale, I don't even know what the purpose of this book is. Like, there's no clearly defined purpose for finale, and I really don't even know why she wrote it or why she decided it needed to exist, because I really truly think we all would have been better off without it. It's just, again, these characters are so unlikable, and it's just because they are so out of touch. They're truly some of the most frustrating characters that I've ever read about. All that to say, I do not recommend the Caraval series because I found 2 out of the 3 books to be extremely frustrating and extremely unnecessary.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
I will still be reading Once Upon a Broken Heart because I feel peer pressured into it by other people in my life. I really don't see how y'all like Jax at all. Because of his infatuation with Donatella, I just don't like Jax. So we'll see if my mind has changed. We shall see. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog or something. Who knows? Now that I've spent 10 minutes ranting about books I don't like, let's talk about one that I did like. The third book that I'm going to be talking about today is If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. I was seeing people say things like, oh, if you love Gilmore Girls, you'll love this book. They were right. So the main character in this book is named Michelle, and she is a 30-something. She's working hard. She's doing her thing. Parent dies. One of her parents dies and ends up leaving her this inn. Technically leaves it to her and her sister. And this inn is in a super small town. And so while her sister is finishing college, Michelle decides that she's going to stop her big city job and she's going to move to this little small town and run this inn for her sister until her sister is able to come and take over after she finishes college. Michelle ends up moving to this small town, and you meet this whole cast of sweet small town characters, including the fun baker guy next door whose name is Cliff. And he's a single dad, and he has a teenager who's like 15 and I don't remember how old she is, but she's hilarious. I love her. And then Michelle also moves with her ex's dog because her ex just left the dog because that's the type of person he is, which tells you everything that you need to know about him. Alan left the dog, and so we don't like Alan. No. Michelle and her dog, whose name is slipping my mind, moved to this town, and they're both very skeptical at first. And throughout the many chapters, they get to know the characters in the small town. They get to know Cliff and his daughters next door, and it is so cute. I put on my Goodreads reviews all of the chapters that have spice, and there are quite a few, okay? Like, quite a few. If that is a deal breaker for you, I don't recommend this book. But, however, if you don't mind just kind of skipping through it, just kind of like, oh, flipping the page, it's totally great. I love the story. The characters are just, I love them. The epilogue chapter is from the dog's point of view, years after the events that happened in this book. And it made me cry. I loved it. It was so good. It's probably one of my favorites of the year, if I'm being honest. I rated it 5 stars, which was much needed after the catastrophe of the previous 2, which we are no longer talking about. I'm not going to talk about them anymore, I promise. The 4th book that I'm going to be talking about today is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. This is a book that's kind of been on my radar for a while now. I think I've had it on my TBR on Goodreads for a while. I found out that it's a free audiobook on Audible. I listened to it just because of that. And this is like a whole 7-book series, if I remember correctly. And at first, the original premise and like the first few chapters of the book really had me hooked. And I was like, oh, what's going on? Basically, it's this king who ends up having, I don't know, like 10 daughters or something. And he's training them up to basically, sell them off to other kingdoms, but also like teach them to be like assassins and teach them to be super manipulative. That way he's basically in control of everything. So he's like, going to marry his daughter off to this other kingdom, but guess what? He's actually the one holding the reins in the background. One of these daughters is Laura. He has to choose one of these sisters to be the person that he's gonna basically sell off, marry to the like most wealthiest kingdom that they're all trying to learn the secrets of. And so he ends up choosing, I think, like his oldest or something. Laura comes in and she poisons everybody. From her dad's perspective, she poisons everybody at the dinner table. And she's like, yeah, Dad, I'm the one for the job. And he's like, oh, sure. Yeah, that's the qualities that I'm looking for in the queen of this kingdom over here, because I need you to assassinate this king so we can swoop in and pick up the pieces. And she's like, bet, I got you. That's the beginning of the story. And I'm like, whoa, Laura, okay, coming out the gate hot like that. Jeez. She didn't actually poison all of her sisters. She's really good with tinctures, I guess. Tincture.
How do you say it?
Tinctures. She's really good with those. And so she basically made this sleeping syrup for them. And supposedly when they wake up, they're supposed to be totally fine because she left a letter in one of the sisters' pockets, right? There's supposed to be no bad blood there. She ends up marrying this like prince of this kingdom and learning all of its secrets, and she's going to try and like manipulate him into doing what she wants him to do. And then also she's like selling the secrets to her father. Well, along the way, you know, she gets to know him and she's like, hey, actually, maybe he's not that bad. Maybe I shouldn't be betraying his trust like this. And then chaos ensues and she's like, no, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. It didn't stand out that much to me. There was also like unnecessary amounts of spice in this, like super early on, which was a big turnoff for me because at this point I didn't even really care about any of the characters and I was just like,
so we're having spice just to have spice. Okay, I see what kind of book this is. Okay.
I do not plan on continuing the series. I think I rated it 3 stars. It was okay, but it wasn't impressive. It wasn't stand out to me. I have other series that I plan on reading that are way more impressive than this one. Do I recommend it? No, unfortunately. I think, you guys, that this next book that I'm going to be talking about is the number 1 book of the year for me. Like, this was 2025's top book for me. And that book, it's a book that I just finished here recently in December, and it was Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. If you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, Sunrise on the Reaping is a Hunger Games book, and it's Haymitch's story. So Haymitch is the mentor figure to Katniss and Peeta in the original Hunger Games trilogy, and so this book is basically his backstory and how he won his games, which was the 50th Hunger Games. And I have so much more respect for him as a character after reading this book. Even just watching the movie character of Haymitch, I'm like, I see you. Gosh. I was ugly crying at the end of this book. Is it a tragedy? Yes. I said in the last video, I love a good tragedy. However, it sheds so much light onto even just the original trilogy of the Hunger Games. It sheds so much light onto like the significance and the importance of different events that happen in that book. And like some of the same characters are in this book just as younger versions of themselves, like Mags, Beetee, Effie. You meet Katniss's parents. Also, if you read this book, I want to know if you figured out who Katniss's parents are. It's so cool to see all of the things that shaped Haymitch into who he is in the original Hunger Games trilogy. And even characters like Effie, and seeing them and like younger versions of them is just, it was wild to me. Man, I feel for Haymitch. He is like one of my favorite fictional characters now. I'm also someone that really loved The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is Coriolanus's perspective and Coriolanus's younger days. And I loved the book and I loved the movie. But this book was so much better. I rated this 5 stars, and if I could give it 6 stars or 7 stars, I totally would, because it was so worth it. And did it make me cry? Yes. Did it make me feel lots of feelings? Yes.
Emotional damage!
But also, it's one of those books that sticks with you and doesn't leave you. And I love that quality in a book. And I cannot wait to watch the Sunrise on the Reaping movie late next year, or late this year, late 2026. I've already watched the trailer, and so promising. I'm so excited about it. So if anybody wants to go watch the movie with me, let's do it. The next book that I read in December was Silent Heist by Jenessa Fayeth. I don't know how she says it. This was just a little palate cleanser that I read after Sunrise on the Reaping, because I was like, I can't go straight into another fantasy. I have to let this sit for a little bit. And so I read Silent Heist because it's supposed to be this like Home Alone inspired rom-com. And I love Jenessa Fayeth's writing in Date with Danger. I thought that was a really fun book. And I loved her comedic writing style in that book. So I was super excited going into this one. I was a little bit underwhelmed. And I think it is because this is a shorter book. And so I spent less time with the characters. But also it felt very surface level and like very shallow. And the characters were just ridiculous in some capacities. It's about this thief who ends up robbing this millionaire's house. But the millionaire has this super crazy like 8-year-old daughter that is home with her nanny. And plot twist, he also used to date the nanny. So they're like exes after he breaks in and the nanny like tackles him. And then a snowstorm starts. And so he ends up being forced to stay there with them. And then also this like super expensive painting or whatever that he was trying to steal, there's lots of other thieves that are also trying to steal it. And so then he like basically ends up helping protect them from the other thieves that are like more dangerous. Thieves. Sorry, I've been saying thieves. Also, this 8-year-old is very Kevin from Home Alone inspired and just has the most chaotic energy. I will say, I think I would have enjoyed it more if I had had more character chapters from that child's perspective, because there was one chapter from her perspective and it was wildly entertaining. But there was only one chapter and the rest of it was the guy and the girl, like the nanny and the thief. And I was like, right. And then the end is just they're in Egypt, stealing something in Egypt because she's an archaeologist also. And there's a whole other plot line with that. It was a little far-fetched. I think I rated it 3 stars. It was a fun palate cleanser. Coming off Sunrise on the Reaping, it was kind of diabolical to read. Still a fun holiday read, and the only holiday read that I read this year. So we'll take it. The last book that I'm going to be talking about in this video is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. And I've been getting told for years that I need to read this series. Like lovers of, Narnia, lovers of Lord of the Rings, they're all like, oh my gosh, you have to read Harry Potter. It's so amazing. You have to watch the movies. I had never read the books or watched the movies. And after reading the book, after seeing the movies, okay, look, I get it. I understand the hype, okay? I understand the hype. It is fun, okay? If Magic's a deal breaker, probably don't read this. It is really fun, especially the full cast audiobook experience. It was delightful. If you've never listened to a full cast audiobook, it's basically a movie. Like they have different voices for all the characters. They have sound effects. They have music in some scenes. And it's literally like you're listening to a movie. I loved the full cast audiobook experience. It's about this child who's born to 2 wizard parents, and his parents die in a terrible way that I can't tell you about because it feels like a spoiler. And then his aunt and uncle raise him, and his aunt and uncle literally hate his guts. They have a son named Dudley that's a little bit older than Harry, and Dudley is also diabolical. Like this whole family, diabolical. They are like neglectful and abusive of Harry, and they're comedic relief characters in that they're just so outlandish and so diabolical, and like just the things that Harry does in retaliation to their hatred makes it funny, okay? But their actions are not funny, but Harry's reactions to their actions are kind of funny, because he just like keeps egging them on, which he's a bit of a brat of a kid, but also if you grew up in that kind of environment, I totally understand. It's about Harry getting these letters, getting invited to this Hogwarts school that his parents went to, and the school now wants him to come because he's old enough, and his aunt and uncle literally don't want him to go, which is confusing to me because I'm like, if you hate him that bad, aren't you willing to ship him off to anybody who will take him? Apparently not, because the aunt and uncle and Dudley are nuts. He literally sleeps in a dusty cupboard under the steps. Like, they do not like him. They do not care about him. For some reason, they want him to stay with them. I don't know. He goes to the school, he ends up making friends, he ends up learning more about his parents, learning about his past, learning about how his parents died, all the things. It was a fun book, fun experience. But like I said, I know this book is controversial in some circles. If you have convictions to not read it, that's totally fine. I support that. But also, if you feel like you don't have strong convictions one way or the other, it is a fun book. Like, I'm going to be super neutral on it. If you feel convicted not to read it, then don't read it. But if you don't have convictions not to read it, I mean, go for it. Kind of see if you like it or not. So yeah, those are the 7 books that I am closing out 2025 with. The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong is what I'm reading right now. I don't know if I'm going to finish it in 2025 or not. We'll see. If not in 2025, then in 2026, which sounds wild to say. I am not ready. That is going to be all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or whatever other time of day it is for you. Thanks so much for sticking with me as the sun goes in and out behind the clouds, and I look super weird in some clips and not so weird in other clips, and the wind was blowing in my face and the bees were biting me, but thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate all of you. I'm also looking forward to see what 2026 brings to all of us, because it's here, whether we like it or not. And yeah, I wish you all a very happy new year, happy 2026, and I will see you guys very soon for my next video. Bye-bye.